Dr. Lightman, why are Jews blamed for everything, even if there's no evidence to support the accusation?
Of course, Jews aren't to blame for poisoning wells and all these other things, the viruses and the coronavirus, as some say now, and so on. But Jews are in the center of the world, in the center of reality, in the center of nature. And why? Because our nature is entirely an egoistic desire, the desire to receive pleasure and not to give. And the correction of this desire, for it to actually work the other way around, instead of the desire to receive, for it to become the desire to bestow, instead of it being an egoistic, it becoming an altruistic desire. The change of this desire has entirely to do with the Jewish people. Because from the entire population that lived in ancient Babylon 3,500 years ago, there were actually all the nations of the world gathered there. And so they started fighting. And then one of them, named Abraham, got up and he started explaining to them that the strife that suddenly unfolded among the inhabitants of ancient Babylon, it's not just a fight, it's the increasing of the ego, that this is something that they have to fix, for their inclination to be the other way around, to rise above the ego. Some of the Babylonians listened to what he said because he was a very distinguished individual, he was their priest, and some didn't. Those that went with him, that followed him, he called them Jews, since he demanded them to be united together. Jews, from the Hebrew word yichud, unity. And in general, the process that they have to go through and what they have to reach eventually is love another as yourself. This is what he taught him. And that group that followed him, that followed Abraham, called themselves Israel, from the words Yashar Kel, meaning those that are aimed straight at the upper force, the force of bestowal, the Creator. And all the rest, they didn't accept it. They didn't feel that it's something that they have to do. And Abraham, he taught this group that followed him from Babylon to the land of Canaan, Israel of today. He taught them how to treat each other, up to the point where they reach connection, up to the point where they reach love toward one another, according to the rule of love covers all crimes. And this happened more or less 3,500 years ago. And since then, that group became hated by all the rest of humanity, and it became separated from all the rest of humanity because their direction in life became the opposite of the rest. All other people were egoists. They acted in order to benefit and gain, and that group, no. They learned from nature how to be good toward each other, and as much as they can. And they started researching their egoistic nature that has to be corrected. And that period is called the Egyptian exile. Afterwards, they came out of Egypt, they built their country. Still, they couldn't advance much in love another as yourself, according to what Abraham demanded, and they shattered. And then they scattered from that place in all directions. This is actually what happened to them about 2,000 years after that, 2,000 years ago. And since then, these people, they even forgot what they're supposed to do. That they have to come to love another as yourself, to realize this law, that the upper force, that the Creator, that Abraham demanded of them. And this way, they somehow existed without keeping this law, without being inclined toward each other for 2,000 years. And this is why it's called the 2,000 years of exile. And this way, they've reached what we have today. And today they're in a very special, I'd say, subtle state. Because the time has come in the development of the ego, of humanity as a whole, of all those that came from Babylon, that all of humanity, all in all, are those that came from Babylon. And the stage has come for them to start correcting themselves. And so the entire world, either by the coronavirus or as a result of their development, doesn't matter how. The main thing is that as a result of our development, the whole of humanity feels itself in a state where it's in a single nature on one planet, in some kind of an integral system, and that it has to start doing something with itself, only it has no idea what. But the situation is becoming ever more grim, severe, and therefore, again, as with all other problems and troubles, anti-Semitism's on the rise and blames it on the Jews. And the truth is that it's true that they blame the Jews, because all in all, Jews are those that can pull all of reality to the force of good, to connection, to love. And then all the problems will disappear. But they're not doing it, and they're not setting an example. And therefore, subconsciously, the entire world feels that they're not doing something that they're supposed to do, as if they're robbing the world of the good that it could have. And so the entire world's against them. This is the reason for anti-Semitism. Jews themselves, they don't know and don't understand this. They forgot about all those things. This was somehow clear to them thousands of years ago, but not now. And today they only feel that they're hated. But why? How am I to blame today that I'm being punished, that I bring harm to the world? What harm? We actually gave the world so much good. The world has advanced so much in science, culture, education to the Jews because of them. We did all that's possible besides the main thing that we don't know about. And therefore, here we're perplexed. What do they want from us? But really, there's just one thing that the world wants of us, for us to connect with each other and to show the method of connection and an example for connection to the world. But the problem is that Jews don't understand this. And several thousands of years went by, and still subconsciously the world's demanding this of them, feeling that they're to blame, and they don't understand it, they don't feel it, and they don't accept it. And therefore, there's need to explain this to them, that only Kabbalists, maybe a few hundreds of people throughout the generations, from among the Jewish people, from among the Jews, are trying to explain this to them, and they don't want to listen because it compels them. And therefore, what follows is that to this day, none of the Jews know why are they hated and what's really going on. But in history, this is a repeating thing. After they came out of Babylon, and we've entered the land of Israel 3,500 years ago, and we've built the temple, the country, and the nation, and it didn't hold for a long time. And this temple was destroyed, and it was entirely shattered by Nebuchadnezzar, the first temple, and the second temple was destroyed by Titus. And in that day, they were both temples were destroyed at the same day, and we commemorate this day as the 9th of Av.